Good afternoon. You're listening to Gambling with an Edge. Now here are your hosts, Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Today is a mailbag show. Richard and I answer questions from you, our listener. The first one actually isn't from our listener. It's from Richard. A couple weeks ago in my blog, it's available at bobdancer.com and gamblingwithanedge.com, I speculated what I'd be doing if I weren't a professional video poker player. When Richard saw the blog, he suggested we put that question to him, and which I'm happy to do. So, Richard, what will you be doing if you weren't doing what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I have thought about that a lot, actually. And if I had never gone into, I kind of, went into two things, which were the entertainment business and gambling, mostly gambling. So a couple of things came to mind. One is I think I would have ended up a therapist. I liked psychology, and I could easily, like in an alternate universe, I could have seen me having a career as a psychologist. And another possibility would be photographer. I liked photography, and I could see myself having done that. There was a point in the early 90s where I had retired from gambling one of the many times, and had kind of gone through my money and was at risk of thinking, oh my God, I might have to get a job. And at the time, one of the things I considered doing was photography. And the other one was I was living in LA, and I thought, oh, I could go set up on Venice Beach and be a psychic. But fortunately, I realized, wait a minute, I have a skill. I can go back to gambling and make money that way. So I did that. But anyway, those are the things I thought about. But I also wanted to fire the question back to you, because you really didn't say what, if there was no video poker, if that was not an option, they had never invented it, what do you think you would have chosen to go into?
Yeah, it would probably be some other gambling game, possibly backgammon. When I was playing backgammon, I quit in the early 90s. Computerized programs were just coming into being, and I didn't have a PC, so for me they were non-existent. And so a whole bunch of plays were kind of guesswork, and you'd read books. And the way I was, and now they have computer programs that will tell you what the best play is from any of the zillion positions in backgammon, and truly there are a zillion of them. There's no way you can ever see them all. And I would have done well in that environment. The part of my success in video poker was having the computer programs tell me what the right play is and memorizing that, or at least doing it enough until I understood it. And so had I stayed in backgammon and gotten those programs, which they start out with Jellyfish and Snowy, and now it's XG, I could be competitive in backgammon these days. And the idea of studying, having a path to study and do it, that would appeal to me. I don't know if there's much money in backgammon, but if I would probably have be doing something like playing or teaching or writing or running tournaments, but somehow find a way within that competitive world to eke out a living. I think that's probably what I'd be doing.
Yeah, backgammon is hard because so much of being a really successful backgammon player is the social aspect of the game. How good are you at, getting the right opponents? But with your math background and stuff, I would have thought sports betting would also be a good a place where you could have excelled.
It could have. I have a minor amount of computer programming. I was what they call mainframe programmer way back when, which was mostly in COBOL, and so the programming on a PC is something I have not done. But I mostly, if you're good at any computer language, you have the potential to get good at others. And so I never taught myself to be a good computer programming in the gaming world, but I think I could have. All right, let's go on to another question. I normally played a big session of video poker once a month at one particular casino. Then I pick up all the coupons they send me in the following months, then do it again. However, recently I found out that my local Caesars casino no longer sends me coupons. I asked the host and was told that they found out I only picked up coupons and didn't play much, so they decided to no longer send me coupons. What should I do in this case? Is it possible to let me send them coupons in the future? Also, does this mean I won't get coupons from any casino, any Caesars casino? Do I still get the benefit of $600 flight fare reimbursement? All right. So you're asking me a lot of questions I can't answer without knowing more specifics. And so you're going to have to ask your host what it would take for them to get you to send you coupons again. Maybe you're on their permanent shit list, in which case there's nothing you can do to get back on, but maybe you're not. If this host lays out a plan to rehabilitate yourself there, follow it or don't go there at all. Playing every time will definitely cut back on your overall EV. You'll have to decide whether or not it's worth it.
And we should just add, this is a trend. Many of the casinos have cut way back on what they're giving away to players and, trying to eliminate players that are not profitable to them. So it's not just you.
Next question. I'm sure that both of you get a lot of requests from APs in the community who would love to meet with you for a coffee or a drink. Have either of you thought about auctioning off to a lunch or coffee date for a good cause? Now, for me, I found meeting for coffee or a drink is a euphemism for pumping my brain for whatever they want to know about video poker. And usually they try to make it at a casino where everything is comp for them. I've taken to charging $300 per hour, 2-hour minimum for these meetings. I don't really need the money, but people have to be more serious about it to do it at that price. Never thought about auctioning off a date for charity. I'd be amenable to that, although the minimum would have to be at least as much as I charge. And I only get 2 or 3 takers for that a year. And so I don't know if there'd be a market for an auction. Richard.
Yeah, that's not something that would interest me. Sort of being up on the market like that. I meet actually a lot of people, but not after one email saying I'd like to meet you. I get to know people over time, and then I end up, meeting a lot of people. So, but no, yeah, to auction off, auction off for charity. First of all, I wouldn't think anybody would pay much for that, and I don't know, just doesn't seem like my thing.
All right, next question. I come from the points and mile world, where we often discuss the anatomy of dead plays to learn how the various parts work to hopefully exploit them in the future. Is there a long dead play that you can talk through to help listeners get their mind running with ideas? For me, okay, I don't know what a points and mile world is, but
credit cards and airline miles.
Okay, good. So I've been doing video poker plays, and there are hundreds of dead plays to talk about, but they fit into some general categories. One would be machines being miscalibrated, like too many points offered, sometimes because the machine thought it was a slot machine instead of video poker machine, or progressives included on the wrong pay schedule category, or machines pay off thinking it's a $5 machine when it actually takes 5 $1 tokens to play. Sometimes the promotions are miscalibrated. You can't believe the number of casino decision makers who are arithmetically challenged. Sometimes they don't know that several promotions added together give lots of benefits to the player. One casino, they offered a 3% slot club for video poker instead of slots only, and they had 99.2% gains for all denominations up to $10 single line. It's for a 6-hour promotion if you met certain requirements. It was not obvious that they had made this mistake because it just said 10 times points. That casino frequently offered 10 times points for slots only. But this time they forgot to add the caveat, slots only. There were 4 players who caught it and exploited it. All 4 of us were paid, and eventually we got permanently no mailed. Sometimes promotions are easily defeated. Like there's a colored prize inside a plastic egg that you can see through barely, so you know which egg to pick. Another casino offers scratchers where there was a code on the back of the scratchers that you can learn which ones for which one was $10 food and which one's for $50 free play. You accidentally picked up a handful and scanned them quickly for a good one and threw the rest back. Some casinos used to salt the machines with 5 coins every time you hit a hand pay. For dollar machines, that usually was only a $5 for a royal, which don't happen very often. If you were playing double bonus, you also got it with aces and a kicker, but at that time, the best game was a 99% game, and so an extra $5 every 16,000 hands wasn't all that good anyway. But one casino, Sunset Station, kept that rule when they installed $100 base machines for the bad pay schedule. But betting 5 coins at a time, $500, every time you got 3 of a kind or higher, you get an extra $500 bonus. It didn't matter what the pay schedule was. This is going to turn into a really juicy promotion. Now, of course, the guys who discovered it collected on that bonus twice before they killed that promotion and decided the casino didn't want to be given $500 away every time. And they had lost quite a bit more than the $1,000 by the time they collected that second bonus, and they were refused to do it on the third. So it was a can't miss promotion, and of course they lost. Another casino had some kind of a card in advance where you had to scratch off the prize in front of a casino employee on the right day. And so they would send you a whole month's worth of card. But at this particular casino, if you had a strong enough light at the back of the card, you could actually see what you were going to get. So you skipped the 2-for-1 buffet prices, but you definitely planned your day to take advantage of the 5 times points or whatever it was on the big prize. There were so many more of these. A lot of them fall in the category of read the rules carefully. So often on casino promotions, they get lazy and decide to have basically the same rules for this promotion as they had in a similar promotion, but not identical before. And sometimes the differences in the promotion require differences in the rules, which they don't make. So you need to read the rules very carefully. And but these things don't hit you over the head. Casinos are not interested in you being profitable. But if you read the rules, 50 times and you're good, you'll catch 3 or 4 of the times the rules were bad. So this is a lot of work for relatively rare paydays. And sometimes when you get to paydays, they kick you out afterwards anyway. So, Richard, you must have had a lot of these in the
of course, tons and tons and tons. But so I want to say you are asking a really, really good question, because the more knowledge you have of these kinds of things, the better you will be as a gambler, because, as you say, some things come up again, or something becomes so old it's new again, and it's hard to find out these things. But my approach was to just read everything I could read. And you read about things that no longer apply, but man, you just never know when they're going to come up. But just some examples. I don't think these will be particularly helpful right now, but plays that are dead are when, in the old days, um, dealer used to peek under their tens and aces to see if they had a blackjack, and you could get the hole card from first base. Um, Dealers, when they would peek, sometimes would have tells. Steve Forty wrote a book on how to read, dealer tells. Um, or was it Wong? Um, yeah, but anyway, so for hundreds of years, people beat bias roulette wheels. Um, so as I said, there are just dozens and dozens of these kinds of plays that may not be relevant now, but you never know going forward where they might turn up again. So your question is a great one. My best advice would be, rather than have Bob and I try to list all of them that we can think of, is just, read as much as you can. And that's why when people say, oh, that book is out of date, man, that's just crazy, because there's stuff in there. It's out of date. It's exactly what you're asking about. Plays that are out of date. So, yeah, that's my advice. Go read.
All right, next question. Can you describe the steps you take to prepare for a play that may require you to play during a time of day, like maybe graveyard, that is not your normal time? How far in advance do you start to adjust your schedule, and what other steps do you take? Now, when I saw this question, I decided this is great. This is too long to answer on the air. So I created a blog about it. It's going to be published May 24th. This show will be May 26th, so it'll be the current one out there. You can find it on bobdancer.com or gamblingwithanedge.com, where I address that in some length. So, Richard, how do you prepare?
Yeah, I don't. I just, white knuckle it. When I was playing, the last couple of decades or whatever, I would go on a trip knowing that I was going to come back beat the shit. And if it meant, okay, set the alarm for 3 a.m., I would set the alarm and get up at 3 a.m. and, and we would play, for a weekend or 4 days or 7 days or whatever it was. And I would come back at the end of it and recuperate for a few days. So, yeah, I didn't try to reset my schedule or anything like that. I would just, do whatever it took and sleep when I could, eat when I could. I learned to carry like granola bars and nuts and stuff in my fanny pack. So, because sometimes, we wouldn't eat for 12, 14, 16 hours.
Next question, my answer is similar to my last question. It says, I have a strategy question about 8-5 aces bonus. I've been told that you play the same way as you would regular 8-5 bonus, with the following exception. When dealt a full house with 2 or 3 aces, where aces in position is possible, you only hold the aces. Is this true? When dealt 2 pair, where one of the pair or an ace is in the right position, do you go for the full house or just hold the aces? So what aces bonus is the 4 aces, they have superimposed a yellow A, a C, an E, or a dollar sign. And if you get them in positions 1 through 4 in order, or 2 through 5, you get paid 4,000 coins instead of 400. It adds about 0.2% to 0.25% to the EV. Now, the correct strategy is actually just to break aces full. when all three aces are in correct position. If you break aces up or a full house where there are only two aces in position, these are huge mistakes. Now, I addressed this subject in my May 10th blog, and so you can figure out how big of an error it is to break up two pair aces up or a full house where the aces are in position. All right. Next question. A card counter, and I've learned to never give ID when asked for player's card. I also do AP slots when I walk around and I don't want to burn a local casino down. My question is, will I have a problem in the future if I get a hand pay and have to show ID for slot plays? Do you think they'll ever go back and get my info if I get trespassed or backed off for counting? Richard?
Yeah, I wouldn't count cards in. If the place is really good for your slot plays, I would not count cards there. Because if you get trespassed or whatever, maybe they won't go back and find you on the tape, but the next time you go in to play slots, you may get trespassed again. You know, you may have a problem. So I would not mix the two if, you know, in the same casino.
All right. Next question. I have a quick question regarding tournament video poker strategy. I was hoping you could share your opinions. Years ago, I would play for cash, and constantly I would chase the royal by breaking up a pair of jacks or better in favor of suited ace, king, queens, or ace, king, tens, etc. And while I now appreciate this correct thing to do in only a few situations, I'm finding I automatically am doing this in tournament play, feeling that if I hit a royal, I will likely win the tournament. And the same goes for breaking full houses with premium three of a kind, straights and flushes with four to a straight flush, both inside and outside. I'm wondering if I agree with this recommendation. So, yes and no. You're correct that tournament strategy is different from regular casino strategy. If a tournament pays 10 people, ending up in 11th place is exactly tied with ending up in 200th place. This is definitely not true in regular casino plays because the 11th best player was still going to be a winning player while the 200th place player would have a negative score. While being in 10th place is far better than being in 11th, usually tournaments are top heavy in the scores, so you want to end up first, second, or third if you can, with first place being the best, of course. The most common, but by no means universal, game to play in tournaments is double-double bonus. Here, royals, aces with or without a kicker, twos, threes, and fours with and without a kicker are the only hands that really matter if you're going to win. So you should go for them. I do not play extra hard for straight flushes. Those are only worth 250 coins, the same as a regular quad. Good to have, but not a game changer. And also note that you usually won't get one of these premium hands in a tournament session, which are usually 200 hands or less. Okay, so you're not going to win on those days. Not a big deal. Play enough tournaments and play for the premium hands when you can, and you'll get enough of them to score eventually. I'm assuming Richard doesn't play video poker tournaments, and so I'm not even going to ask him. Next question. I'm a poker player from Tunica, played cash games in the casino for years, and was able to easily achieve diamond status. Now, when the COVID, I now play at home, and so I don't get diamond status, so I don't have any more free rooms, drink tickets, no resort fees. My question, would it be possible I could make several trips a year to my local casino and achieve the upgraded card status again through some sort of hedge on dice, roulette, or sports betting? I could bring a partner if I need. I'm thinking don't pass and pass line with a partner. I'm hoping there's a very close to break even or small losing ways to do this. Well, I've got bad news for you. Hedges do not reduce, or they do reduce your variance, but they aren't cheap. Playing craps on the pass and the don't pass costs you 1.4%. Having two people do it on opposite side costs them both 1.4%. Roulette has a much bigger house rake. So does sports betting usually. I would not call in any of these close to break even. I've only gotten to 7 stars through slots and video poker. I'm not sure how many points are awarded for playing table games. In Vegas these days, there are no more Laurel lounges at Caesar's property. I guess they're now called El Dorado. You get $10 in food credit and 4 drink tickets per day if you qualify. Getting into the Diamond Lounge for free used to be worth a lot more than that. It's possible that the Diamond status today isn't worth as much as you remember. So if you're not getting 7 star, and which would be expensive to do so in the way you're suggesting, I don't think it's worth it for you. Richard mentioned a $3,000 bet on roulette 2. What casino allows that? Most I've seen is maybe $500. Most are $100 on a single number. What was the number and why did he pick it?
First of all, it was an online casino, and it was 2,000 British pounds was their maximum bet, and which was about the equivalent of 3,000 US at that time. I have no idea what the number was. It was random. I just picked a number. So, yeah, you can often find much bigger limits in online casinos than you find in brick and mortar.
Do you remember why you were making that play?
Oh, of course. I had a bonus.
And so even though you lost it.
No, I won it.
Well, you won it one time, but you're
most of the time I lost it. Sure. Yeah. You know, so if you're depositing $1,000 and you're getting $1,000 sticky bonus, a bonus that you can't cash out, you can only use it to bet, then you want to try to bet the whole thing in one high variance bet. And that's what I did. That was sort of standard operating procedure, was to, go get the bonus and try to lose it immediately.
And when you win, hope to get paid.
Oh, of course I get paid. Why? How could they not pay? I mean, after you win, then you have to grind through some, rollover requirement. But if you lose, you don't. And all of those bets, are negative EV. So you either want to lose it all on one bet, so you've given up your negative EV once, or if you hit $105,000, then you grind it out at whatever the lowest EV bet you can find, which in that case was probably Blackjack. You just grind it out at Blackjack.
Very good. So next question. The guy's been memorizing Don Schlesinger's Illustrious 18 deviation, and he sent me the card that he's been memorizing. And so he said he understands the deviation for 12 versus 4 is to hit at negative counts, but his simplified table also shows 12 versus 4 to stand on a +3. It makes no sense. Can I explain that? Well, I looked at his card, and Schlesinger's list only mentions 12 versus 4 at negative counts once. His chapter in Blackjack Attack gives a lot more information on that hand that is worth considering. The chart you sent is a shorthand list with some transcription errors from Schlesinger's original work. So this error is not caused by Schlesinger, it's caused by whoever made the shorthand list of it. All right, next question is kind of long, and it's a blackjack question. It's for Richard. I've socially engineered my dealer to cut off about 26 cards from an 8-deck shoe. Cut card has come off, so the last hand of the shoe with my running count at +7. So my true count is over +14. I have 2 spots on my top bet of $600 out. Dealer shows 6 against my 10-7 and 10-10. I stay on the 10-7, split my 10-10. I pull another 10, split again. Then I get an ace, which I intend to double, but the dealer moves on. It gives me an 8 on the last 10. I tell the dealer that I intended to double my ace 10. The dealer says, "You can't double a 21, sir." I call the floor. The dealer catches the floor up to speed. Then the floor walks off, comes back and says he can double the ace 10, but the 8 can't be burned. I asked the floor to clarify. He said, "You can pull back the bets of any of your hands, or you can keep them, and you can double the ace 10 if you want, but we can't throw away the 8. I realized that I have the chance to pull back my 17, which I elected to do, seeing as how 17 is a general minus EV hand against a 6. I keep my 18, seeing as how the count is high, probably plus EV, and I double my ace 10. The dealer turned over a 10, pulled another 10, and busted. In retrospect, I imagine with the count being so high, it should probably have kept my 17. At what true count does the correct play go from pulling my bet back to keeping it on 17 versus dealer 6? And is there a reference manual where I can look these things up? Richard.
I don't know. I don't know if CVCX will handle that or not. Yeah, I don't know. But first of all, I would never double an ace 10. And you have social engineered a situation where you're getting a 26 card cut. The last thing that you want to do is draw attention to yourself, and you're going to call the pit boss over, show him that you're splitting 10s, and tell him you want to double your ace 10. Like, this is just craziness. You have this tremendous situation, and you risk blowing it by calling the pit boss over and drawing attention to yourself. So, that's my thoughts about this story, not who cares whether it was right to pull back to 17 or let it stay. I think this was a really, really bad idea. I mean, all the pit boss has to do is look down and go, how come you're still dealing? There's no cards left in the shoe.
Very good. Next question is going to be after we have a commercial break. The South Point has more than 10,000 games returning at least 99%. This is more such game than anyone else has. The May 24th promotion is half price gas and goods. For every $8,334 you earn and redeem in May, normally worth $25 in cash, free player spending at various hotel and casino outlets, you get a $50 Walmart or Chevron gift cards, limit 10 per month in any combination. Monday, May 30th, 8 a.m. to midnight, it's a $32,000 hot seat promotion where every 3 minutes, one lucky player receives $100 in free play. If you haven't finished earning your 10 gift cards by this point, playing on this day is a form of double dipping.
If you're serious about card counting, the Blackjack Apprenticeship membership is a great way to learn, train, network, and get the resources you need to succeed. We have had quite a few guests on Gambling with an Edge who exclusively trained and got their start through Blackjack Apprenticeship. Check out their website at blackjackapprenticeship.com. They have member forums, training software, and guides to help you learn. That's blackjackapprenticeship.com, and you will find a link to them in our show notes.
Videopoker.com is the best place to practice lots of different games. You can sign up for the gold membership at $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year. That'll give you correction on lots of the games. You don't have to do the gold memberships, but you get a lot of ads and you don't get correction. The game of the week is Spin Poker Deluxe. Spin Poker normally is a game where there's 3 physical lines of cards, but 9 different pay lines zigzag through those 15 cards that you end up. Spin Poker Deluxe is the same idea, but now they have 20 different pay lines instead of 3. It's the same EV as Spin Poker or the regular game, and it's 100 coins per line game. It's just 100 coins per game. Reaches your goals of how much you want to play a lot quicker than if you're playing 5 or 18 or some other lesser number of games, lesser number of lines. All right, we are back to our questions. Somebody wants to know if I have strategies for progressive video poker. And I'm actually working on some of these with a friend/partner. I don't know if and when they'll be published. The most useful progressive charts these days would be for double-double bonus. They typically have more than one progressive, which greatly increases the complexity of the strategies. We're working on ways to present these in a useful fashion. All right, Richard. Some casinos or some players don't want to cash chips when they're in the casino for fear of dragging heat. What dollar amounts will casinos usually honor to cash, and what dollar amounts will make them maybe not want to pay and cash your chips?
Well, it varies totally by casino. But definitely 3,000 is a trigger where they have to file some kind of paperwork. So in most places, 1,900 is safe. In some places, you have to keep it under 1,000. So you're just going to have to experiment and see what that particular place will bear.
So let's say you try to cash out 2,500 and you find out.
Well, I would never go 25. I would go 23 or something. You don't want to hit 2,500.
I thought 3,000 was the magic
Some places
number.
It's 3,000. Some places it's 2,500. As I say, I usually stay under 2,000. I would go with 1,800 or 1,900, something like that.
So let's say you had 1,900 and they said, we need to see your ID.
I say, I don't have my ID with me. It's out in the car. If they give me any kind of, pushback at that point, I would grab my chips and say, you know what, let me go to the car. I'll get my ID and I'll come back. And I would just leave. And then the next time I would try 900.
But grabbing your chips is not always possible. Sometimes they take the chips and pull them way over on their side of the counter.
So then I would say, let me have my chips back. I'll just go out to the car and get my ID and, be right back.
All right. Many gamblers that have been on your show mention going to or being arbiters of gambling disputes.
I'm sorry. You know what? I just want to go back. One thing you should not do is say, you don't need my ID, or I don't have to show you my ID. That's the kind of thing that's going to get them to not give you the chips back. You want to be as agreeable as you possibly can, that they're just doing their job and, oh, no problem at all. Let me just go get my ID. I'll be right back. So I just wanted to add that because I hear too many stories where people get into these arguments with, you don't need to see my ID.
Yeah, it makes them sound too much like they've been watching that Gambling with an Edge show and listening to Bob Nersessian.
Yeah.
Many gamblers been on the show mention going to or being arbiters of gaming disputes. These people, rightfully so, are generally well known and respected in the community and sought out for their advice. My question is, has either Bob or Richard acted as an arbiter? Are you generally compensated for your time, or have you only done those kind of things for real close friends? And in my case, I haven't actually been asked to arbitrate a dispute, but on 2 separate occasions, I've been asked by a husband to dress with his wife and him together, whether leading a gambling lifestyle is a viable lifestyle. This makes me uncomfortable. My general philosophy in marriage is that if you're married, you ought to try to stay married if at all possible. So to be the straw that breaks that camel's back for a couple wasn't a role I welcome. We talked about it. First couple ended up divorcing. The second couple is still together and doing the best they can. Whether or not they still married in 5 years is anybody's guess. So, Richard, have you been an arbiter?
I haven't. I've been involved in arbitrations, but not where I was one of the arbiters. In none of the cases I'm aware of was anybody compensated. It is a thankless job. I saw my name dropped recently as being an arbiter. That's happened a couple of times. And I was like, oh, God, no, please. But then I don't know whatever came of it. Nobody ever asked me, so I, dodged that bullet. As I say, it's a thankless job, and somebody's going to be pissed at the end of it. But
well, sometimes you can arrange it so they're both pissed.
Yeah.
Next question. We all know there are many different pay schedules for each of the video poker variants. But are the odds of hitting a premium hand any different based on the game or pay schedule? For example, are the odds of hitting 4 of a kinds any different between jacks or better and double-double bonus? Obviously, the payouts are very different, but any more or less likely to hit quads depending on which game I play and choose, and how about royals? Okay, you're just as likely to get a dealt royal in all games featuring a 52-card deck. To end up with a royal after the draw, however, depends on your strategy. In 9-6 jacks or better, for example, the royal cycle is about 40,000 hands. In 10-7 or 9-7 double bonus, royal cycles are about 48,000 hands. The main reason for this is that these double bonus games pay 7 for 1 for a flush instead of 6 for 1. So frequently you hold a flush kicker in double bonus, such as ace, king, 7, all hearts, or king, jack, 10, 3, all clubs. When you do that and you hold the flush kicker, it makes the royal impossible on that particular hand, so that's why the cycle is longer. There's another hand in this game that's played differently, is 2 suited high cards in the hand with a 4-card inside straight with 3 high cards, such as ace, king suited, followed with an offsuit jack 10. In jacks or better, you just hold the ace king, making the royal a 1 in 16,000 possibility. In double bonus, you hold ace king jack 10, making it a 0 in 16,000 possibility. In double bonus, sometimes you do one and sometimes you do the other, depending, which makes it an intermediate number. For 4 of a kinds, the cycles are similar between jacks or better and double bonus, but not identical. It's easier to get 4 aces in double bonus because you just hold the aces from ace 7 7 4, whereas in jacks or better you should hold both pair. Same with aces full. In double bonus you just hold the aces. In jacks or better you hold all 5 cards. There are other strategy differences that matter. Even within the same general group, plays are different for different pay schedule. In double bonus, for example, if you're dealt an ace, a suited, king 10 deuce through king 10 8. In 10-6 double bonus, you hold king 10. In 9-6, you hold king 10 and the baby. And in 9-5, you just hold the king. So the same basic game, but 3 different strategies. All right, next question is for Richard. In a previous reader email show, when someone asked how they should build their bankroll, you said you should choose online gambling. Could you tell me what kind of games you would play were you doing this?
Well, I mean, right now it's all sports betting is the big one because they're giving away money like crazy for sports bettors. So, but it could be. It's not about the game; it's about the bonus. It doesn't matter what the game is. So, Arnold Snyder wrote a book like back about 15 years ago or so about online casino gambling. And like our earlier question about things that are dead that might come back, that's a book that many people would consider out of date, but the ideas behind it are solid. So that might be a good way to look into it. And the other thing is the article by James Grosjean, which is sort of the definitive work on how to bet these online bonuses, although he calls them coupons for the most part. It's the same thing. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Well, that does sound like a recommendation from Richard. And since we're on the subject, let's do our recommendations. Richard, do you have a more official recommendation for our audience today?
Oh, wow. See, I should have saved that for another day or something. But no, actually, my recommendation is a restaurant that I believe was recommended once before by Rufus Peabody when he was on the show. And if it wasn't him, that's okay. I recommend this anyway. My family, we went to eat at a restaurant downtown called Esther's Kitchen. And we all thought it was really good. So Esther's Kitchen, it's downtown in the Arts District, which is a great section of Las Vegas, well worth visiting anyway. And the only thing I will say is there's a lot of street construction going on down there right now. So just be aware of that. But anyway, yes, the restaurant Esther's Kitchen.
And my recommendation is the book called The Blindside. Now, I watched the movie The Blindside several years ago. It's a story about a huge, poor black boy from Memphis, Michael Orr, which became a star left tackle in high school, and all colleges were after him. It's a 2-hour movie. Now, I saw the audiobook by Michael Lewis, available online through my local library, and it ran for 12 hours. I was curious to see how the book differed from the movie. Now, I didn't go in thinking Michael Lewis was always 100% accurate in his stories. Subject of the movie, Michael Orr said the movie wasn't completely accurate. About Lewis's books about the MIT Blackjack team, John Chang, who managed that team for 11 years, and he's been a guest on this show, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, something like that, said the book was only about half true, and the movie, 21, took that half and did away with that too. Still, I think Lewis is a gifted storyteller, and I enjoy his work. If you're at all interested in football, I suspect you will too.
So I just want to say first of all, I think Michael Lewis is a great writer, and you pretty much can't go wrong with any of his books. You are confusing him, though, with Ben Mesrick. Ben Mesrick wrote the book on the MIT Blackjack team, not Michael Lewis. So, yeah, I would not put them in the same category. I think I have lots of respect for Michael Lewis as a writer.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Richard. Where currently our mailbag is empty. And this is the fault of our listeners who have not sent us enough, so we can do another one of these shows someday. In the meantime, thank you, Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.